We were at church camp in July, and we go to this camp's been going on for what, 130-something years. Eventually, they'll get it right. I mean, they've been working at this for a long time. It's a good camp. There's like 3,000 people there, and the second Thursday night is always missionary night. Now, I usually opt out of missionary night, and it's probably because of my own dysfunction. Because they put their heaviest hitter up there, and he comes after your money, and he basically guilts you a little bit. I mean, that's my experience. Like, why are you not over here in Uganda with us? What's wrong with you? What kind of Christian are you? They don't say it that way, but that's the takeaway I get. I'm like, I don't like this. So I don't usually go on missionary night because it's the same old thing. But this year I went. They had a brand new guy who had never been there before. And he spoke that night. He probably won't ever get to speak again. He was astounding, though. He was captivating. He was telling stories. He was telling a story. He's an evangelist, so he travels from place to place to place, and he tells people about Jesus all over the world. And God said, but you never, ever talk to your neighbor. You don't even know his name. Like the guy that lives beside him. He doesn't even know what you do. You wave at him on the way in because you're tired from your trip, and you go inside and you close the door, and you don't want anything to do with your neighbor. And he begins to teach us about what Jesus' words, like, hey, you're going to be witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea, Samaria, uttermost parts of the earth. Well, 3 out of 4 of those are local. So God speaks to him. He makes the effort to go over and meet his neighbor. And his neighbor was like a retired mobster from New Jersey. Every stereotype you can think of, the way he talked, the way he called him his priest. In his mind, this guy was just a priest. And they began this relationship. He says, hey, come down to the bar and tell my friends about Jesus. They don't know. He's like, okay, let's go. It was amazing. The stories he told, and it's the way Jesus taught, wasn't knowledge-based. It was relational. You can understand this. You can relate to this. And it was so, that guy had me captivated. And he's like, he's talking about his neighbor, and his neighbor's like, you going to come and talk to my priest, or I'm going to break your knee. I mean, it was those kind of stories. It was fascinating. But he said something toward the end of that sermon. And he said, in passing, quickly, he said, you remember when Jesus said, I am the light of the world? And then he looked at his disciples later and said, you are the light of the world. I'm like, yeah, he did. I am the light of the world. You are the light. Well, make up your mind. Which one is it? And sitting there in that sermon, I stopped listening to the man, and I started listening to God. I could feel him coming. I could feel him coming. On those 2 sentences, I felt him coming up behind me, and he started talking to me about that. He said, you do know that I am, so you are. And he rephrased it so I didn't miss it. He said, because I am, you are. Because I'm the light of the world, you're the light of the world. And since I'm not a pastor anymore, I went home and thought about it. Now, if I'd been a pastor, I'd have went home and meditated on it. Because you get extra credit if you meditate, right? But I just went home and thought about it. I'm like, Lord, what are you telling me here? And he began to unfold this, and I want to share that with you this morning. And it will take a little bit of time to be fair to this topic that God's given me. And I understand. Thank you, Chip, for saying take whatever time. I won't be wasteful of your time. Cindy and I went to a church over in Commerce to visit because we're thinking about having this pastor be on our AOT. And our pastor said, well, how'd it go? I said, dude, the first 45 minutes of his sermon was amazing. The last 45 minutes, not so much. Anyway, I'll try not to do that to y'all. I'll try not to do that to you. Because I am, you are. So what does that mean? I mean, immediately my mind jumped to the book of John where Jesus goes through all these I am statements. Y'all know them, and we'll talk about them in just a minute. But guess what? This actually goes back to I am. Y'all remember Exodus 3? Moses is in the desert. Moses had a life of luxury, man. The first 40 years, he had it made. Lived in Pharaoh's palace, was an adopted son or grandson of Pharaoh. I mean, he had it made. But there was something that God put inside of him, even though he didn't know God. He didn't know God's name. He had never met God. He saw an Israelite being abused. And guess what came out of him? Deliverance. Now, he did it in the flesh. He killed the guy. But God made Moses to be a deliverer from the beginning. Isn't that crazy? So he has to run away. He's 40 years in the backside of the desert, and all he's doing, you're talking about entry-level job, all he's doing is watching a sheep eat. Now, I'm sure there's some technical parts of sheep watching that are difficult, but you probably could learn it in half a day, right? Okay, there's not any grass here. Let's move over here. There's not any water here. Let's move over here. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? And we've all done entry-level jobs, haven't we? Dug a ditch, been a plumber's helper, worked at Chick-fil-A, whatever. I mean, all those things and there's nothing wrong with that, but Moses had to be bored out of his mind, don't you think? 40 years of this? Are you serious? I used to be Pharaoh's grandboy, and now I'm here chasing these sheep around. So anything that happens out in the desert is like, ooh, let's go check that out. Well, there's a bush that catches on fire and it didn't burn up. So Moses is like, oh, maybe I won't be bored for a little while. And he runs over here and God begins to speak to him out of this bush. And y'all know God says, you're going to go deliver my people. And Moses is like, no, I'm not. I'm not a deliverer. I don't even know how to speak correctly. What do you mean? You got the wrong guy. They go back and forth. There's this argument. Finally, Moses says, okay, I'll do it. But then he asked God a real question. This is not a rhetorical question. This is a real question. Moses said to God, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they say, who? What's his name? You got to understand, they've been 430 years living in Egypt. And the Egyptians worshipped a pantheon of gods. And so did the Israelites. They didn't know God's name. This wasn't a trick question. He wasn't trying to get out of it a different way. He's like, who do I tell them is going to deliver them? What's your name? Moses didn't even know his name. What do I tell him? God said to Moses, I am that I am. You go tell them, this is what you're to say to them. I am has sent me to get you. That's where I am comes from. Because I am, you are. Now, we don't have any way to accurately translate this into the English language. Because I am that I am is not like Bob. My name is Bob. My name is Chip. My name is Danny. No, this is not that. Isn't that a funny name? What's your name? I am that I am. I will be whatever I will be. I exist and I've always existed. I'm here and I've always been here. It's not just a noun. We learned this in grammar school, right? A person, a place, a thing, a common name, a personal name. That's a noun. This is not a noun. This is a hybrid. This is a noun and an action verb all rolled into one. This word, this name says, I am unlimited potential and power. Amen. What do you need? That's good. He looks at Brian and says, Brian, what do you need? I'm that. Ronnie, what do you need? Something different. I'm that too. Danny, what do you need? I'm that also. Anybody in the room, everybody in the room, what do you need? I'm that. Unlimited power and potential. That's what I am that I am means. It's not just I'm a plumber, I'm a son. No. This is I am whatever you need. I got it covered. There's plenty there. Don't you worry about it. This is my name forever. The name you're supposed to call me from generation to generation. Now, we've got the Bible. We even listened to the song and sang the song this morning. There are many, many more names of God that talk about this part of his character or this role, Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals us. That's important to know, but that's within the sphere of I am that I am. I am that I am is the biggie. It's the one that God calls himself. So we have to know what I am means for us to ever figure out. Because I am, you are. So jump back to John chapter 8. This is where Jesus begins his I am statements. So let me give you some context. The beginning of John chapter 8, the religious leaders, probably early in the morning, they grab a woman caught in adultery. They drag her, maybe by her hair, and they throw her at his feet. And they say, we caught her in adultery. We know what the law says. What do you say? And y'all know the story, how it goes. Jesus is he's just patient, and he just waits. And one by one, they drop their rocks, and they tuck their tail between their legs, and they walk off. Immediately following that episode, probably right after lunch, Jesus walks over to the temple, and on the porches, the portico on the outside, he begins to teach the crowds, his disciples, the other followers of Jesus, and he begins to teach them. And while he's teaching, these same religious leaders that are livid, they are so angry from what he has just done to them. That morning, they begin to make their way up to the back of the crowd. They're standing on the back, and he's teaching. And the NIV says, and the Pharisees challenged Jesus. They said, by whose authority are you doing these miracles? By whose power are you doing these things? Who's your daddy? Who sent you? Where did you come from? And it got nastier and nastier and nastier. I mean, these dudes were saying, oh, we know where you got your authority. The prince of demons shared some of his authority with you. That's why you're doing these miracles. We can't deny the miracles. You're doing them. But we know where you're getting your authority from. And it just went on and on and on. Now, these people, these religious leaders, they knew the rumors. The rumor was Joseph wasn't Jesus' daddy. They didn't know who Jesus' daddy was. They knew it wasn't Joseph. So they went after him. They went after him. And they said, at least we know who our daddy is. This is all in John chapter 8 now. They're questioning his identity. And Jesus, if y'all watch Jesus, how he operates, he doesn't react. He doesn't panic. He doesn't whip out his ID. Yeah, this is who I am. He doesn't defend himself. He's just as apt to get down in the dirt and doodle and wait and wait. And then look over at the girl and say, daughter, where are your accusers? That's how he does things. He is not someone who feels like he has to prove anything. So over the next 7 or 8 chapters in the book of John, he gives us some I am statements. But y'all know, there's Jesus is multifaceted, multi-sided. I mean, he is the Lamb of God. Aren't you glad? But guess what? He's also the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Well, guess what? In this chapter, he stood up and said, Lion of the tribe of Judah is about to talk. Y'all listen to me. They said to him, at least we know who our daddy is. Abraham's our daddy. And this is what he said. He looked them in the eye. And this is where it went sideways. He said, before Abraham was, I am. Capital I, capital A, capital M. Y'all understand what he's saying? He is equating himself with Exodus 3, I am that I am. I am that I am in the Old Testament is standing in front of you today. Before Abraham was, I am. They went nuts. They tried to kill him right then. See, they didn't kill Jesus. Religious leaders didn't go after him because of all the good things he did, the miracles. They didn't even go after him and try to kill him because of all the teaching that was, we're not used to this. No, they went after him because he said, I am that I am. He got in their face. And from that point forward, every time he gave them an I am statement, it was an uppercut to the religious leaders. We know them. I am the light of the world. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the good shepherd. I am the true vine. I am the bread of life. And I think I missed one. Y'all know them. Jesus is equating himself with I am. We have to know that because from I am, we are. We have to know that. And Jesus doesn't soft play it either. He doesn't say, well, you might know me as the bread of life. No. He puts the I am in front of it, and they knew exactly what he was saying. I wish we had an additional chapter like John 22. Wouldn't that be awesome? John 22. You are this, I am this, you are this. I am this, you are this. So if we just had it clear cut, but no. You got to dig in the Word of God to find out what goes with this I am statement. Okay, well then what am I over here in the you are, in my you are lane? What is that? But you have to dig a little bit. It's not, I love Deuteronomy 28. Because of the clarity of it. My linear brain, it works good. Y'all know Deuteronomy 28. If you do all these things of obedience, boom, 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 you get all these blessings. But if you do all these things, you get all these curses. I love that chapter. Like, I get to choose. I mean, that's really, really clear. There's no gray area there. I wish we had John 22. We don't. We got to dig a little bit deeper, okay? So let's start with a couple I am statements. And I'm going to move around a little bit. I'm hoping y'all going, this is not as concrete of a sermon as I usually preach. This is a little more abstract. Okay, good. Yeah. We'll start with the first one. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. John 8:12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I'm the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Then to the disciples and the followers, Matthew 5, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. They put it on a stand. It gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Jesus further clarifies John 9:5. He says, this is where we start to get it. This is where I started to get it. While I'm in the world, I'm the light of the world. That's what Jesus said, as he clarifies later. While I'm in the world, I'm the light of the world. But we know he was only there for a short time. So when he left, now who's the light of the world? We are. Because I am, you are. That's how he designed this thing. And if we try to jump lanes from you are to mess around with his I am, we mess up. I am the way, the truth, and the life. That's what he said about himself. And in Acts 9, Saul, breathing out murderous threats as he goes to persecute the church. What do they call themselves? They call themselves the way. He went to persecute the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. You are the way. I love that. I wish we were still called the way. That's direction. Like, there's the way, right over there. Follow it. Here's another one that's not in the 7 I am statements, but there are I am statements throughout the whole Scripture, Old Testament and New. And this one we don't believe, not a single one of us in here, I promise you. I've never met a Christian yet that believed this all the way, especially in the beginning of our walks. Leviticus, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, 1 Peter. Because I am holy, you are holy. We don't believe that stuff. We take the free gift of Jesus and then say, okay, now what do I really got to do to earn this thing? Because nothing's free. I mean, I know I got to work. I know I got, how much money you want. How much money you want. Whatever it is, man. And church people are the worst. And the higher you are in church hierarchy, the more you serve, the more you deaconize an elder and doing all that stuff, the more you strive to say, oh, Jesus is going to really like me. Oh, he's going to pat me on the back. He's going to really be pleased with me. So I'm going to take some Jesus, and then I'm going to do this other stuff to make sure that he loves me. But that's not what God said. Over and over and over, he says, because I am holy, you are holy. Because I am holy, I make you holy. That comes from the outside in, not from the inside out. Let me read this one. This is in Leviticus. Nobody reads Leviticus. If you can help it. Leviticus 20, verse 8. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees. Follow them. I'm the Lord who makes you holy. Consider them holy. Because I, the Lord, am holy, I make you holy. And no believer believes it. I've never met a single one that didn't strive in some way. I've never met one. It's either Jesus is going to like me more if I attend 3 Bible studies this week, or I give more, or I serve more. Whatever it is, and nothing's wrong with those things, but if our motivation is to take some of Jesus and then do our own thing to come to God, we're just adding the law right back in to say we're going to please God by all this stuff we can do or the things we don't do. Because in our mind, we think, oh, I know. If I don't do all this good stuff, he's going to get me. He's a vengeful God. He's coming after me. He'll make my life hell. He'll get his revenge if I don't do these things. Now, we don't say it out loud, but that's where we come from. We strive. We work, not because we're happy and we just want to obey, but because we think there's something else we're missing. Do y'all remember in the book of Galatians, Paul says to them, you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? That's a weird word. Who has bewitched you? Now, these are the church people. These are the deacons and the elders. These are the church leaders that are striving and working so hard and doing so many things. They would never let their kids play with Dungeons and Dragons. They would not. There ain't no Halloween stuff going on in my house. No Harry Potter stuff. But Paul says, whose spell are you under? You church leaders that are striving and trying to work to please God when he's already pleased with you. You're trying to add to Jesus and, just one rule. That's all we got. We got Jesus. Okay, if you just do, Jesus is good, but Jesus is incomplete. See, you got to be circumcised if you're a Gentile. That way, Jesus plus circumcision, you're going to be good. And he says, fools, who tricked you? Who manipulated you? And those parents, I can just imagine, who would have nothing to do with the occult and the demonic, are they themselves rushing to church to participate in bewitching? They don't get, and we don't get, because I am holy, I make you holy. Nothing you do is going to make you holy. Nothing you don't do is going to make you holy. Nothing. This is it. Now, Almost no preachers preach about this because if you take the strivers out of the church, who's going to work? Dang. There's some balance in there where we're supposed to work for the right motive. We are supposed to serve. Yes. We're supposed to obey. We're supposed to give. But it comes out of a motive of I love you. I don't know you. I love you. What you've done. I mean, you ever wash dishes for your wife? That ain't something you want to do, is it? It's just and it doesn't happen as often as it should, does it? Nope. We all know that. But that's an expression of love. But she wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to love you if you don't do it. I don't think. Oh, man. I got a story about that. You know what? I think I'll go with it now. Not you, Cindy. No, she's stressed out over there. Look at her. When I was 17, I went to college, and we had fun. Me and Cindy, we had fun. She got pregnant, so by 19, we had to move back home. I had to get a job. Now, before I went to college, I was in the youth group. When I came back, I wasn't in the youth group anymore. I'm about to be a daddy. I'm 19, and I don't know one end from the other, but people are treating me like I'm an adult. And we don't know what to do on Wednesday nights anymore because I always went to youth group. I don't want to go with those old people singing hymns in there. I really didn't. But what other option did we have? So at the same time, our pastor got the bright idea, and it was a good idea. It was a good-hearted idea. He wanted to teach us how to evangelize our friends, our neighbors, our family, our co-workers. Evangelism explosion. It was 1988. We went in on that Wednesday night and okay, we'll try it out. We get there. He says, 16 weeks. 16 weeks. It's going to take us. I'm going to train you to go after and evangelize your friends and neighbors. And the book was that big. I'm like, that's twice as big as any college book I've ever seen. Are you kidding me? I'm not even sure I want to be here. I look at that book, I know I don't want to be here. I mean, really, honestly, I just got my girlfriend pregnant. How am I going to look at somebody and say, oh, yeah, you really ought to try out Jesus? He'll fix it. Inside of me, I had no credibility. I had no credibility. How am I going to share? I know we're supposed to share the gospel with people. I know that. I knew it in my mind. I'm thinking, it takes 16 weeks, though, in a book that big? Are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing that. So we didn't go back. Contrast that. About 2 months ago, Abby Aldinger, Christopher Aldinger, and her husband, Josh, were at our church. I think they came here too, didn't they? And she spoke, and this is what she said. It was brilliant. And I heard her. She said, do you want to know how to share Jesus with people? Do you want to know how to evangelize? 2 words. When she said 2 words, I leaned up. She said, enjoy Christ. I'm like, what? It hit me so hard. I'm like, that is it. A book that big and a 16-week thing where you're striving to learn it and pack your head full of knowledge, or 2 words, enjoy Christ. I'll take the 2 words too. We can strive, and we can even get a pat on the back at Volunteer Sunday, and it may not be right. It might not be right in here. Because I'm holy, I make you holy. Give up on the other stuff. There isn't any other way. This is it. I am the good shepherd. You all are under shepherds. All of you. Now, we know Chip and Michelle are the under shepherds of this house. And there's other leaders, elders. I don't know how y'all have elders. Y'all have deacons. I am the good shepherd. Watch me. What do I do? How do I do it? How do I love people? Am I afraid to touch the leper? You do it. I'm the good shepherd. You're the under shepherd. Everybody, every daddy is an under shepherd. Every mama is an under shepherd. We shepherd our families. If you're a leader at work, if you're a shift leader or a manager, you shepherd. You might not call it that. You might call it something else that sounds less churchy. But you shepherd. Because people's hearts always need shepherding, whether they're believers or not. I'm the good shepherd, he says. So you're the under shepherd. Watch me and do what I do. I'm the true vine, he says. You are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. I don't care what your budget is. I don't care how many volunteer staff you got. I don't care how big your ministry and well-oiled it is. It makes no difference. If you're not attached to the true vine, there is no fruit that will be born. None. So y'all are you starting to pick up that everything in you are, this lane, comes from I am. All of it. Everything. Jesus' mission statement, I love it. It's Isaiah 61, and then Jesus repeated it, I think in Luke, where he gets up and he says, this is what I'm doing here. This is why I'm here. Now, it just so happens that Cindy and I, starting in last January or so, we started helping a new church plant too. We're a few months behind y'all, but we're still in the phase of getting to know each other, because it's like a few people from this church, a few people from this church, a few people from here. Do we even like each other? Are we going to spend time with each other? Is this going to be stable and solid? Is this worth fighting for? Is it worth going through getting to know each other, rebuilding relationships that we didn't have before? That's not real comfortable. I'd rather just know who I know. I mean, we're in that same place. And our pastor said, you know what? Our mission statement is this. Jesus' mission statement. I'm like, yes. Because if we're followers of Jesus and his mission statement carries him that way, and then our mission statement looks like that, I'm like, I can do that. I want to read y'all his mission statement, Jesus' mission statement, which is our mission statement. And think about it from the because I am, you are. All right, think about this. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is upon me, Jesus said, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Sounds good so far, doesn't it? To proclaim freedom for the captives, for release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, and to provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow upon them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. And Jesus says, and you know what they're going to look like when I'm done with them? Who? The poor, the captives, the brokenhearted, the prisoners, the ones who have experienced death and grief, and they need comfort. You know what they're going to look like when I'm done with them? Y'all want to know what the next sentence says? They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. Jesus said, that's why I come. I come for the poor. I come for the broken. I come for the captive. Now, isn't that good? Don't get too far away from your captivity that you forget. Don't get too far away from your brokenheartedness that you forget. Don't. Jesus says, I'm going over here to do this. Now, we've been to a lot of church conferences, pastors' conferences. Most of them are a waste of time. Honestly, they are. It's just a list. Like, if you do these 8 things, you'll be magically just like our church and you'll grow and all this kind of stuff. No, that's crazy. There are some good stuff. I'm not saying there aren't any good things. But a lot of medium-sized churches, a lot of big churches want to come up with the mission statement that's catchy, that they can talk about around the coffee bar, that people can remember, that they can get behind. Oh, I can get behind that statement. The problem is it Jesus' mission statement? If he's going that way, and I'm a follower of Jesus, and I'm going that way, am I a follower of Jesus? No. I'm following what I want to do. Because I'm telling you that churches, a lot of churches, who wants to mess with the poor? Who wants to mess with the brokenhearted? Yeah, y'all do. But that's abnormal, unfortunately. It's not clean enough. It's not neat enough. It's too messy. But Jesus says, this is why I came, and when I'm done with them, they're going to look a lot different. So what he's saying is, because I set captives free, you set captives free. Because I bind up the brokenhearted, you bind up the brokenhearted. Because I comfort those who mourn, you comfort those who mourn. Whatever he said he's doing from I am, that's what we do over here in you are. And that's it. John 14:12. Verily I say unto you, I'm getting it mixed up because that's my old KJV coming out of me. Whoever believes in me will do the works I've been doing, and they'll do even greater things than these. Because I'm going back to the Father, so who's going to represent me here? You guys are. You followers, you're going to do this. So here, I need you to take my power, and I need you to take my authority. And the disciples are like, no. Not us. We can't do that stuff. Only you can do that stuff. No. Actually, I'm going to give you my power and my authority, and then you're going to do some greater things than I've already done. Like, greater than walking on top of the water? Greater than raising the dead? Are you serious? No, come on. Don't lie to us, Jesus. That's why he says, verily, verily, I tell you. I'm telling you the truth here. Y'all not going to believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. Luke 10, I give you my power and authority. So you see what he's saying is, because I'm healer, now guess what? You're healer. Because I'm a deliverer, now you're a deliverer. Does that make sense? Because I am, you are. Because I do miracles and I raise the dead, you do miracles and you raise the dead. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. I don't see that with my eyes yet, though I did pray for somebody to be raised from the dead. She didn't move, but I prayed for her anyway. Hey, look, God tells you to pray for somebody to be healed. If they get healed, it's God. If they don't get healed, it's God. Hey, man, I did my part. I did my thing. I just obeyed. Because I am, you are. That is how we have to live our Christian life. Everywhere. In every way. I like this one. I am the bread of life. That's what he said. Now guess what he also said? Feed my sheep. He didn't just say it to Peter. 4,000 men, 5,000 men, women and children. The kids running around everywhere. They're hungry. The disciples come to him. What are you going to do? These people are hungry. Send them home. Jesus says, and he didn't say this out loud, but this is what he meant. I'm the bread of life. You feed them. Well, we can't feed them. I just told you. I'm the bread of life. You feed them. It's not really about us or our skills or our gifts. It's not. You just run over here to I am. When he tells you, he gives you an assignment, you run over here to I am and say, okay, is that what you said? You said heal. All right, here you go. Now, there's your healing. And I didn't, I got it from I am. Nobody look at me. Nobody pat me on the back. Nobody think I'm a superstar. I am did it. I love that. There's also many other you are statements. You are the salt of the earth. Remember that when he said that? You're forgiven. You're chosen. You're righteous. You're my witnesses, but you're not my judges. And this is my favorite, and I want to end on this one. You are my friends. Now, how can you be friends with the one who says Niagara Falls and Niagara Falls explodes into existence? How can you be friends with someone who said Grand Canyon? You are my friends. Jesus sitting around the campfire probably talking to these boys, looking at them. I spent years with you. I'm not just your God. You're my friends. Where does that come from? I am love. That's where it comes from. Everything we ever need to be you are comes from I am. Everything. And this matters. We need to reorient our thinking. We need to reorient our life to this truth. Most of my life, I've tried way too hard to be a follower of Jesus. Way too hard. Trying to please him or please the people who said they represented him. And it turned out to be a joke. So here's my question to you. And I'm, hey man, so I'm not a real gentle, soft, anyway, when I give an altar call, I'm like, some people are like, well, close your eyes and everybody duck your head and don't look and raise, wiggle your left ear if you agree to do this or something. I mean, how weak and pathetic is that? No. If God said, I want to talk to Overflow today about this, then that means he wants you to hear what he said, and that means, this is my ask, not a little bitty ask like, well, raise your little finger. That's cowardly. No. No, my ask is this, from this day forward till the day you die, that you live from I am for your you are. That's what I'm asking. And don't say yes too fast. Think that through. From this day forward till the day you die, because I am, you are, needs to be the principle in your life. So I'm going to ask you, in 40 seconds, I'm going to ask you, yes or no? Yes or no? You're going to change your life, and this is going to be a principle that God has gotten through to you today, because it must be important. He interrupted my enjoying that awesome sermon on Thursday night at missionary night, and he came in and hijacked that thing for y'all. So the question is, and I want to answer, and your answer can be no. Your answer can be no. From this day forward till the day you die, will you live from because I am, you are? Yes or no? Yes. Louder. Yes. Okay, well then I've done what God asked me to do. And I enjoyed talking to you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.